You gotta be careful with the noise on those things.
Let's rock and roll.
Alexa, who is Weezer?
Weezer is an American rock band formed in Los Angeles, California in 1992. The band currently consists of Rivers Cuomo, Patrick Wilson, Brian Bell, and Scott Schreiner. After signing to Geffen Records in 1993, Weezer released their debut self-titled album, also known as the Blue Album, in 1994.
Thank you, Alexa.
We appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new podcast called Total Discography. My name is Ethan Amory.
And I'm Adam Robb.
And in this podcast, we're going to be exploring the total catalogs, careers, and discographies of some of our favorite artists and maybe some of our not-so-favorite artists.
Exactly.
And so we're going to start off the podcast with Weezer, who, in my opinion, and my good friend Adam here's opinion, one of the most mysterious, weirdly perceived bands maybe ever.
Yeah, their fan base is totally divided. They've been hated, they've been loved, they've been everywhere in between. They've had albums that came out that was hated. They've had albums that later become the most loved.
Yeah, and what's interesting, as many people know, their first two albums are very beloved by most people, and then after that, they kind of split off, and they've gone down this trajectory of a career where some of their most loyal fans also kind of hate them. Many people might have seen the SNL sketch where Matt Damon and Leslie Jones passionately argue about this topic.
Ride or die.
Ride or die, and it was just very weirdly true about the way that Weezer is perceived, and I've noticed that in the Weezerverse, in Weezer lore, there's a secret. There's something to Rivers Cuomo and to the band that maybe not everyone gets. I think that Weezer is a very self-aware band, but a lot of their fans and critics maybe are not so aware of what Weezer's all about.
Yeah, like their Twitter accounts, Rivers' Instagram accounts. On his Twitter, he just posts comments that other people post to him, and then on his Instagram, he just posts Rivers Cuomo memes.
And that's just a small example of how he's kind of just a troll, and not only on Twitter and Instagram, but also in their albums.
Yeah.
They've done some crazy stuff. They have their famous self-titled albums with different colors. They have surprise release cover albums, the whole Africa Toto Twitter thing, which we can get into. But basically, this is just an introduction to tell you that we're going to be exploring their podcast. We're going to be exploring their podcast. We're not going to be. We should have a podcast. We're going to be exploring their catalog, and we're going to go with album to album and kind of just explore the era of each album. We're going to go, back to the Shack.
Back to the Shack.
Track by track.
Track by track.
And we're going to discuss our memories.
Memories.
Make us want to go back to when they started and back to when they made each of these albums. We're going to be talking about
Getting dangerous.
Getting dangerous.
Oh.
Everybody's getting dangerous about the perception of these albums and these songs. And then, like I said, and they're just kind of, with each chapter in the journey, each album, discuss how this fits into the Weezerverse, how this fits into this lore that no one can quite crack what's going on with Weezer, especially in their infamous frontman Rivers Cuomo's head. I didn't say that very well.
Rivers Cuomo.
Rivers Cuomo. Oh.
That's
Rivers Cuomo.
We're probably not going to get it right half the time.
I don't even know, honestly, how you pronounce it.
Alexa said Cuomo.
Alexa's
So
always
that's
right.
what I mean.
I don't know if
I'm going by
this
that.
is an ad for Amazon for Alexa.
I mean, if they want to sponsor us, we would gladly.
We'll take that money.
We'll take that Jeff
But
Bezos
anyway,
money.
so this is just a little introduction. So next week we will be starting with the Blue Album, and like I said, we'll be discussing the memories, the background of the album, the songs, some of our favorite songs, some of our least favorite songs, and kind of discussing how Weezer started off with such a strong start.
Oh, yeah.
Blue Album and Pinkerton, and then fell from the graces of many of their fans. But then, as Todd, Matt Damon's character from SNL, would say, ride or die.
Ride or die.
And then once we've got it all, we're going to go all the way up to the Black Album, which just came out, and we're just going to try to crack the code and say, like, well, what is it that Weezer is doing? Because I don't think it's what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
And it's really, I can't really think of another artist like it. Like, most artists these days, they don't seem to take themselves, or Weezer just doesn't take themselves as seriously as many artists do.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think this is going to be really fun. So each week we're going to spend a week diving into each album. The Blue Album, obviously starting next week, and which is probably their most popular still
Yeah.
to this day. Pinkerton is probably their most beloved. And then we'll get into those albums, because I've been a Weezer fan forever, but I haven't even listened to a couple of their albums.
There's some albums like
Ratitude is probably their most hated album. I don't think I've ever
Ratitude,
listened
Hurley, Maladroit, some of those.
to. I do love Maladroit.
Maladroit, yeah.
That's where we differ. But so anyway, and real quick before we go, we just wanted to each kind of tell you why we're going to be doing Weezer and kind of talk about our background with Weezer. For me personally, Weezer was a very influential band in my music listening, because before Weezer, I pretty much grew up listening to Christian alternative or Christian like CCM music and like oldies. And so when I was in 6th grade, I discovered 3 albums that changed my life. It was Weezer's Blue Album, Bleed American by Jimmy Eat World, and Dookie by Green Day. And so I discovered these albums, and I started listening to the Blue Album, and I was like, I didn't know music like this. I didn't know music could be so good, honestly. The music I was listening to wasn't that great. And then I discovered, actually the next album I discovered was Maladroit and then Pinkerton. So those are actually weirdly like the 3 that got me going with Weezer. And then I kind of quickly fell into the Blue and Pinkerton are the best. Everything else is iffy, camp. But then in recent years, I've really started with the White Album, honestly, that kind of was like a resurgence. I'm like, oh, this is
still doing
great
good stuff.
And then I started to realize, like, oh, I think something is going on here that I maybe never fully got. Even though I've been listening to Weezer since I was in 6th grade. So this started kind of with, I was like, I would be really interested in exploring some of these albums that I either claim that I don't like, or
just haven't given a chance.
And like, I've liked songs from every album. Like, I loved Pork and Beans. I love little Pork and Beans. Something. But and then there's other stuff. Like, I remember I didn't even give Hurley a chance. Like, I heard Memories because of the Jackass movie.
Yeah.
When he said that in the sketch.
It was in
Jackass 3. So anyway, that's kind of my introduction to Weezer. What about you, Adam?
I got into Weezer a little later in life. I actually didn't know that a lot of their songs were from the same band. I used to play some rock band, some Guitar Heroes with some friends in high school, and I really loved the songs, but I didn't know they were all connected to the same band until probably post high school. And I have a lot of different experiences with the band. A friend of mine, Dan, he kind of turned me on to Weezer. He had the Pinkerton album, he had Blue, Red, and some of the Home Alone albums Home Alone recordings? Yeah, I think that's what they're called. And so that's kind of my experience with Weezer. And then when we started working together, we found that we have this mutual love for Weezer. And then
the White Album.
That's when the White Album came out, and it was kind of like a bonding experience. Like, Weezer was one of those bands where like we would put it on our favorite list, but White Album really, like you said, resurged our affection for Weezer and Rivers and
everything in between. So now we're just going to go on that journey, and hopefully you guys will come along with us as we go back to the shack.
And relive those
memories.
Make me want to go
back to the shack, track by track. Everybody get dangerous.
Ooh, yeah.
So anyway, that was really terrible. Hopefully we'll get better at that. But anyway, stick around. Subscribe to this feed anywhere you get podcasts. And we will be posting our Blue Album episode soon. So we're looking forward to that. Any parting words, Adam?
No, man. I'm excited. Hope you guys have a chance to listen to that Black Album.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, to be honest, like, if you like the podcast, if you don't like us, if you like Weezer, if you don't like Weezer, I don't really care. Because, don't step to me. Don't step to me. Don't step to me, bitch.